Hi everyone, welcome to week 5. This week is very similar to previous weeks. We have a discussion board and an assignment that you're going to have to complete. Let's talk about the discussion board first. For the initial post, select a field where there is a shortage. A lot of, you can probably immediately think to nursing. There are other options, and then determine the impact of that shortage. And what educational and job training policy proposals would you like to see implemented to resolve this skills mismatch? So this, you could go in a number of directions. I'd like to see you, think outside the box a little bit. You can do, adding a program through your workplace or something like that. But really something creative and new, exciting, maybe something that's not even being done that you can just think, I might like to see this, would be great. This is not, meant to be something that's currently in existence if you cannot come up with something that sounds unique to you. So here is determine the impact of the shortage. This one picked nursing, and it kind of goes through that nursing shortage. And then the second question talks about that skills mismatch. This is talking about specific job training, things like that. A lot of nurses were sent to a working pool. So this was obviously a problem as well. And so try to come up with some problems and solutions in this part of the second question. I will include the PowerPoint in my submission of this announcement, so that way you can read these a little more slowly. You can push pause on your computer too if you wanted to read these to get some ideas. Once again, you don't have to pick nursing. Pick anything that you see a shortage of, like maybe restaurant employees or something like that might be an interesting thing to talk about right now. So we also have an assignment. This assignment is probably going to be your most, not challenging, but work required for it. And so you're going to need to come up with a series of graphs. You're going to have to review the graphs before the Great Recession, during the Great Recession, and after the Great Recession. And so then you're going to analyze one of the graphs that account for the differences in unemployment rates. So you're going to have a slide for each series. So there's going to be 4, and then you're going to have a comparison. So this is going to be, definitely more than you're used to coming up with for this presentation. The 4 slides with graphs are going to be unemployment, gender, race, and education before, during, and after the Great Recession. So I'm going to go over it with you just a little bit, so that way maybe we'll break it down a little easier, and then I'm going to give you an example. So these are your 4 areas, and you're going to compare the Great Recession before, during, and after. So you're just going to have one graph, and it's going to go back to, say maybe 2000, and that graph is going to go all the way up to maybe 2015. So that way you have before the Great Recession, during the Great Recession, and after the Great Recession. So I would say, if you did data from at least go back to maybe 2005 to 2015, you would get all the years, or even further. You could go 2000 to 2020. That would also work. And then you'll write the 4 slides with a comparison of before, during, and after the Great Recession. So you'll have the graph, and then you'll talk about the data before, during, and after the Great Recession. And then you'll go to the next slide, and you'll go, okay, we did unemployment, we're going to do education. And you do before, during, and after, and it's the same thing. So the last part is kind of where people get a little tricky, not knowing exactly what's required. Pick one of the areas and analyze the economic factors that account for the differences in unemployment. You're going to talk about that. And I'm sorry, I forgot. I should have discussed this one. Then pick one of the areas and compare it to unemployment and write a slide on that. So then add an intro and a concluding slide, and you'll be all set. let's go through it. So here's unemployment graph. Here's prior, during, and after. And so that would be your slide 1. Is your slide 2, before, during, and after the recession. They're talking about educational attainment during this time. And this is unemployment by gender, before, during, and after. And see how they talk about that there. And then the last one, race, before, during, and after, kind of tells, you know, what that looks like for everybody. And then this person decides to discuss gender and unemployment for their additional topic. So before the Great Recession, there was a very close unemployment rate between men and women. Men are typically most impacted during recessions. The unemployment gender gap tends to increase during recessions. The unemployment gender gap reached 2.7% after the recession. There is a decrease in men's unemployment rate and a decrease in the unemployment gender gap. And then this talks about when they were equal again. This was excellent. So I know that, you know, you may not find enough information to kind of get something this excellent. And so I'm not expecting it to be, this is just a perfect example, and then a concluding slide. So you can kind of see what they did for this presentation. This is what I'm looking for. So you'll have those 6 slides. So the 4, and then 5, and then 6. I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know. Here's the docs and the late policy again. Obviously, you figured that out by now. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you have a great week.